We're back, and we're back with a bang talking about this, the Mahlkonig E80W Grind by Sync. Essentially, Mahlkonig's top-of-the-line commercial grinder, this is the first piece of coffee equipment in quite a while that's piqued my interest enough to make a video about it. No, it is definitely not targeted at the home market. This would be more appropriate, but it does have a lot of technology that is about to trickle down to their consumer level products. So whether you are a cafe owner or a home buyer, you're going to want to watch this one. Before we get going, our usual disclaimer, this grinder was sent to us for review by Mahlkonig. However, as always, they've had zero input on this review, zero editing authority, they haven't even seen this video before it's being published. These are my thoughts, and my thoughts alone. If you do want to check your local pricing for the E80W Grind by Sync, I'll have it linked down in the description below. Like I said, this beast of a grinder is not intended for home use, so as I've done in the past, I enlisted the help of Found Coffee in Guelph to truly put the E80 through its paces in a high-volume cafe setting. Initially, without looking at the user manual, the sheer amount of customization and options on this grinder was overwhelming, and seeing as everything is controlled by the on-screen interface, 2 buttons and 1 control dial, it actually took us a while to get the first shots flowing. But holy smokes was the dialing in process quick after that.
Before we got the E80 Grind by Sync, we were using tons of different tools behind the bar. We had a dosing cup, scale, distributor, as well as puck press, and now we've reduced a lot of those tools. We have gotten rid of the scale because it's grind by weight. We've also gotten rid of the distributing tool because really it distributes itself. It's really fluffy. And then we pretty much only use the puck press. So it's really helped myself and my other baristas with the flow behind the bar. We're much faster and it's also much cleaner.
The main advantages of the E80W Grind by Sync over other grinders, or even the base E80S, is the digital grind adjustment. Gone away is the physical grind adjustment collar, which I know is going to immediately strike panic into a lot of people. Please know, not another reliable mechanical system made digital just for the sake of it. I mean, watching the burrs adjust themselves automatically is very cool, but this decision wasn't made to be gimmicky or pointlessly futuristic. Just like on the EK Omnia, by going digital, Mahlkonig was able to integrate a new disk distance detection, which means the values shown on screen aren't arbitrary grind settings, but are actual live laser measurements of the physical burr gap. The practical impact of this is that a dialed-in shot at 190 microns on one grinder will result in the exact same shot as a 190 micron setting on another grinder. If you are a cafe owner with multiple grinders or even multiple locations across a city, being able to have one head barista dial in the morning and then simply copy and paste those settings onto all the other stations or storefronts is a pretty powerful feature. Of course, in order to do this, you can imagine the importance of being properly zeroed in, and again, having digital control helps there as well. You run the motor, move it with the dial to burr chirp, and then hit save. The accuracy and automation of the E80 GBS allows recipes to be stored and switched between at the turn of a dial. You can easily create different profiles with different grind settings and doses for a single versus double shot, for example, or even completely different coffees that you intend to swap in and out throughout the week.
We have 2 different shots that we pull for different drinks. We have what we're famous for is the Doctor, which is a double ristretto shot with a silky flat white style milk. And the ristretto shot is more restricted, shorter shot. We pull 30 grams out, but we still keep about 19 to 18 grams in. So we do have to make a little bit of adjustment for grind size to ensure it's a good, well-rounded shot. So we could have 2 recipes saved on the grinder, one for a full regular shot and one for our Dr. Ristretto shot.
Being able to dial in more quickly is great, but as cafe operators know, you still need to watch your shots throughout the day. Conditions can change, there can be variations in roast batches, and grinders can drift. If you want your shot to finish in exactly 35 seconds, you're going to need to make slight adjustments throughout the day, which is easy for a seasoned barista, but maybe not for someone working their first solo shift. This is where the GBS, or grind by sync part of this grinder comes in. Because it has full digital control over the grind setting, instead of giving it a specific grind size, you can tell the E80 what your target shot time is for each recipe. Then, if you have a compatible espresso machine with an integrated scale, the two will communicate to make subtle adjustments throughout the day to make sure you stay exactly dialed in to your recipe. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to see this in action because the La Marzocco KB90 at Found was an earlier version without the Wi-Fi module, but I have seen the sync system in action at trade shows, and it does work as advertised. But who is this all for? I can already hear the criticism of this type of deep digital integration down in the comments, and to be fair, in certain cases, that criticism is justified. An experienced barista has absolutely zero trouble dialing in each morning and monitoring and maintaining great tasting shots throughout a day-long service. And if you're one of those people running a single cafe, then I'd probably say this grinder is not a great use of capital for you. Not to mention, there is a certain artistic element to having a human barista manually dialing in instead of a machine doing it for you. However, if you are an owner or head barista at a high volume cafe or chain of cafes with multiple baristas of varying skill levels, I can imagine the wheels are already turning in your head picturing just how useful a system like this could be. Maybe you deal with staff turnover. Maybe you simply like to be in control of your brew recipes down to the exact second. In certain scenarios, I can see this grinder being an absolute godsend from a drink quality, daily efficiency, or even just waste reduction perspective. Knowing that you can program in specific doses and brew recipes and the grinder will take care of the rest leaves more time for baristas to focus on interacting with customers, maintaining a clean workspace, or just getting more drinks out the door.
So in my line of work, I'm mostly focused on the quality of the coffee. I haven't been super focused on the gear, but with this Mahlkonig E80, it's really opened my eyes to what sort of equipment and technology is out there and how it can really improve behind the bar. So Mahlkonig, if you would like to, I would love one.
Now, if you're a regular viewer of my reviews, you might be noticing that this is a particularly glowing one. I usually try to include an equal balance of pros and cons. However, for a grinder at this price point, it really shouldn't be all that surprising that I'm struggling to find some. If your pockets are deep enough, this is almost the perfect grinder. It grinds extremely quickly, it's quiet, it runs very cool, and it's built like an absolute tank. That is, except for the one highest touchpoint area, the control dial. Why on earth Mahlkonig decided to skimp on this area and give us a slightly wobbly plastic knob is beyond me. Something like a knurled metal dial here would have not only suited the look of the grinder better, but it would have just been the cherry on top to make this grinder feel worth every penny from both a feature and build perspective. So, this is a great cutting-edge commercial grinder, but what the heck am I doing featuring it on this channel? Well, it's because it's made me very excited for this, the recently announced E64WS. I cannot wait to get this in for review because it essentially maintains all of the functionality of the professional E80, but at a fraction of the cost, in a form factor that will actually fit in your kitchen, and that doesn't weigh 20 kilos. Combine that with Mahlkonig's recently announced espresso machine acquisition of Xenia, and this means that soon you'll be able to have a full grind by sync enabled setup in your home, which is a pretty mind-blowing thought. So there you have it. That's what Mahlkonig is currently offering at the top of their product lineup and what's coming down the pipeline to their consumer range. Again, if you want to check out any of the products mentioned, I'll have them all linked down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.